Welcome back to Final Fantasy X. We pick up where we left off inside of the cloister of balls, swapping frozen balls, and holy crap, I hate this cloister. Seriously, I didn't think this cloister was that bad, because when I timed it, it only took me 4 minutes to get to the end, or at least to set everything up to leave. However, I haven't been mentioning this, but there's a second type of sphere that you can pick up inside of these cloisters called the Destruction Sphere, and this basically gives you access to a treasure chest of sorts, a prize for basically dealing with all of the ball swapping. And if you want to do that in this cloister, there's a stupid button at the top of the goddamn frickin' rampway, and if you step on it, it resets half of the puzzle, so you have to go back downstairs, move all the puzzles again with the ice, and reinsert all the balls, and this took me 25 extra minutes! I hate the cloisters! Anyway, where were we? So yeah, the game blue-balled my ass, throwing a cloister challenge at me after we just murdered Seymour, cause screw all sense of dramatic tension. So after shifting my ice balls around, we get confronted by Seymour's butler Trommel, along with some of the other Guado. Well, apparently the Guado don't give two shits about our side of the story, since Trommel already has Jiskel's Sphere, and he breaks it. As to whether or not he watched it, I'm gonna lean more towards no, because why would any character in this game start making logical decisions right now? The Guado attack out on the lake along with the abominable snowman, although according to the in-game database of monsters here in my battle system, it's called a Wendigo. Wasn't like the first thing the Winchesters fought in the first season of Supernatural? Well, killing the Wendigo causes him to smash up the ice and the party falls off screen to the bottom of the lake, where we're all okay despite falling from such a great height. I'm really just gonna have to start going with these things, aren't I? Yuna starts explaining her oh-so-brilliant plan of using marriage to get Seymour to admit to killing his daddy off, but since Seymour's, well, you know, insane, he didn't seem to care one way or the other. Orin wants us to continue the pilgrimage, despite the fact that we just offed one of the Holy Fathers of Yevon. Walker naturally has a blitzball rammed up his ass about all of this.
We have to atone, to make up for the sins we have committed. Of course. It's not like I ever liked Maester Seymour, yeah? No way I'll ever forgive him for killing Lord Jiskel. And for trying to do us all in two, you know? But still, the bunch of us going against Yevon? No way!
There's all this confusion on what to do next, Yuna suggests that we head over to Bavel to have a chat with Maester Micah about the situation. But before we can start getting out of this place, Sin parks by the temple and is just floating nearby. I don't know why he's chilling out, just floating in the waves and not laying waste to the temple he's literally 3 feet from, but whatever. Maybe he's tired. And, wait, again, back it up again. How is Sin floating in the water if we're under an ice sheet with a hollowed out bottom? I mean, in the CGI cutscene, it clearly shows water, yet we're in like a giant hollowed out cave right by the temple. Well, before I can specifically comprehend where we are spatially, Sin's toxin hit the party and brings us to the desert. What? How in the hell did we get here? Did Sin teleport Titus again? I should have had a counter for that if I knew it was going to happen this many times. Now, at first thought you might think that Sin only dropped us, you know, a couple of clicks from where we started, but nope, according to the world map, he jumped our asses halfway across Spira because the plot demanded it. I mean, talk about lazy writing here. The writers couldn't come up with a better way of getting us to the desert level? This just feels so random. So yeah, we're in the desert now, filled with giant birds and sandworms. When I go no more than 2 screens and Riku says that the party is near the Albed home, because why the hell not? Let's just let it go. Apparently, they think that Yuna most likely is there because they can't find her anywhere else in the desert. Should I also count this as a Yuna kidnapping, since from Riku's perspective, the Albed rescued her, but from Wakka's perspective, they kidnapped her? The gang arrives at the Albed home only to find it's under attack. From who, you might be asking? Well, the Guado. Why? I honestly have no idea. Seriously, I paused the game at this point and tried to logically figure out why the Guado would be attacking, and none of the reasons I came up with logically made any sense. Here's what I kind of got. I'll just try to explain it the best I can. It can't be that the Guado were hunting for Yuna and the rest of us, because how would they know where we are? Until 5 minutes ago, we didn't even know where we were. So let me just recap what's happened in the last 10 minutes, because it's gotten kind of crazy, and I think we just need to sort of calm down and sort of readdress what's happened. So in the last few moments, we randomly arrived in the desert near the Albed home, which Yuna just happened to be taken to when the Guado and the followers of Yevon just happened to be launching an offensive to destroy the Albed at their base, which according to Riku was a secret from the rest of the world up until this point. Yeah, I think that makes sense. We run into Riku's father Sid, who tells us to help out with the fighting while he comes up with a plan. Riku mentions that Yuna most likely is chilling out in the Summoner's Sanctum. Isn't that where Doctor Strange chills out? Anyway, after fighting for a bit, Titus starts to form a thought in his head, scary thought, I know, about why the Albed keep kidnapping summoners.
The Summoner's Sanctum is where we keep the summoners. We keep them safe there.
You kidnapped them.
I know it's against the teachings and all that.
I get why you did it, but...
Well, I sure don't get it, Waka. They might get hurt on their pilgrimage? So you kidnap them? I mean, if the summoners don't do their job, then who will beat Sin? You want to protect them, I know. But Guardians are there for that. If Guardians do their job well, summoners will be safe.
Well, as you could imagine, everyone else knows the real reason, and I'm sure most players probably figured out the twist as they were playing up to this point. It's been slightly alluded to what the real deal here is, but if you really were paying attention, you would know exactly what's happening.
The pilgrimages have to stop. If they don't, and they get to Xanarkand, they might defeat Sin. Uni could... But then she... Uni will die, you know? You know, don't you? Summoner's journey to get the final Aeon. Yuna told you, didn't she? With the final Aeon, she can beat Sin. But then, if she calls it, then the final Aeon's gonna kill her. Even if she defeats Sin, it will kill Uni too, you know?
Naturally, Titus flips a bitch over this.
Tell me why. Why were you hiding it? Why didn't I know?
We weren't hiding it.
It was just too hard to say.
Anyway, it turns out that Yuna's already gone, only Donna and Raiden are left since the Guado took her. Those damn Guado are on a hot streak today, aren't they? So the party jumps onto Cid's airship, the one that I dug up at the beginning of the game in the ocean, where Titus vows to Cid that Yuna will not die fighting Sin, which is the start of the third act of the game where the plot railroad really takes it up the ass. Sin launches the ship and bombs the hell out of the Albed home in a really cool looking scene. Still, it's pretty shocking overall. Cid just did blow up his own people and nuke their one home base, so naturally Waka has to be an insensitive dick about the whole thing.
Hey, look. Don't get so down. Boom! Like happy festival fireworks, yeah?
Is it too late to jettison this guy out the airlock? After having a look around the airship, Brother finally finds Yuna on the weird sphere plot device looking thing, and she's at a wedding with Seymour in Bavel. As to how he got the footage, oh hell, if I question all the inconsistencies at this point, I'm going to be here till Kingdom Hearts 3 releases. The bigger question here is to how in the hell Seymour is still alive, along with a brand new hairstyle to boot. Well, Auron claims his attachment to Sphera has kept him there. But I'm confused, since didn't Lulu say all the way at the beginning of the game that when people die in Sphera, they turn into fiends? So why doesn't Seymour look any different? He still looks like the blue-haired douche he's always been, except now he's wearing a funny hat. And also, if he's still alive due to his attachment back on Sphera, you're telling me that hundreds of people that Sin's killed over there, none of them had any reason to stay behind. I mean, why bother with sending people if you can still walk around freely as long as you harbor some kind of deep connection to something on Sphera? This whole thing about keeping Seymour alive just because he's unsent really bugs me. I mean, the game clearly defined what dying in Sphera entailed, and now it's just like the game is saying, screw it, we're making this shit up as we go, just to appease our plotline. And also, this is just the beginning of the inconsistency, since Seymour is apparently not the only unsent character in this game, as we're going to find out. Auron claims that Yuna has agreed to marry a dead man in an attempt to send him, which he claims Seymour might not expect. Oh yeah, that's going to be a fun wedding night for Seymour. He's never going to see the giant 5-foot summoner staff twirling around his head while they do it. Naturally, Titus wants to head right over and gatecrash, and Cid's down with that plan, so off they go. But before that, the party has to deal with Smog, the security dragon here. Once we get past security, we begin one of the coolest scenes in the game. Yeah, I should be questioning how our heroes are able to grind cables, but screw it, this looks awesome. Though I'm going to bring up a little tidbit here that Lulu is not present in this scene. I slowed down the footage and even tried to freeze frame it, and yeah, she's not on one of these wires. Did they just forget to include her? Or did they think it just would have looked weird, her grinding a rail with all her belts and stuff? It's kind of weird that she's not there. I never really noticed it until now. The party crashes the wedding, but they have to deal with some machina that I guess Yevon okayed, since the wedding looks like a pretty public affair. We finally reach Seymour only to be stopped in our tracks at gunpoint. Odd, since we just ran down the previous path with 20 guards with guns, and funnily enough, we weren't stopped. Hey Keenock, you're sticking that gun a tad close there, buddy. Back it up. The wedding commences and Seymour and Yuna tie the knot. I can't help but think right now how much gil it would cost to get an annulment in Sphera. After this, Yuna tries to send him, but kinda can't, seeing as how all of us are still at gunpoint. so she bails on Valfor and for whatever reasons heads to the Bevelle Cloister of Trials. Really? There's another one? I'm just wondering as to why Yuna just didn't see the party held at gunpoint, summon Ifrit or Shiva or both of them, and lay waste to all the bad guys, but again, I'm just thinking out loud here and my opinion is worth nothing. Also, Micah, what the hell? I thought you were a nice senile old man, but what a dick, he's helping Seymour out, and for what reason? Doesn't he know that he's dead? Well, before any real questions can be answered, the party escapes into the temple, where we're suddenly in a disco hall. Okay, now I'm really confused. All game long, they've been talking about how Machina is forbidden, and only some of it is allowed, like the Blitzball Stadium, and I guess the weird ball shooting things that were at the wedding. But other ones are completely forbidden. But now I'm seeing an entire temple, one that countless of summoners have passed through, completely functioning by Machina. No one had an issue with this? Never? No one thought it was suspect that a Temple of Yevon inside Bevelle, supposedly the holy city, the Vatican of Spira, is housing Machina. You know that one thing Yevon forbids? This temple is in Bevelle, right? The Bevelle where all the summoners go. This isn't like the back entrance or the underground exit or like the freaking VIP zone. I mean, this doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, just mark that as another inconsistency the game's throwing at me. Regardless of logic, we're stuck in yet another cloister, and yet this one decides to change things up with timing puzzles where you have to stop a moving platform at the right moment. Do I need to say anything else? It's just as boring and brain dead as the last four were, though this is far from the worst. Oh, that is still to come, my friends. We reach Yuna in the Chamber of the Fate when, surprise, Keenock and the guards catch us on the way out. You know, in retrospect, maybe going into the temple located no more than a stone's throw away from where we made our escape from the bad guys was a bad idea. So now we're on trial in the High Court of Yevon, where we meet Maester Kelkronso, who serves as the judge. Well, at least it's not Micah. We might actually have a chance in hell here. Yuna tries to explain that Seymour isn't just injured, he's dead, and that he murdered his father, which goes about as well as you'd expect at this point.
The real traitor is Maester Seymour. He killed his father Jiskel with his own hands.
What is this?
Hadn't you heard?
Yuna pleads to have Micah send Seymour, but we've got another twist coming.
Send the unsent to where they belong?
Yes. Maester?
Send the dead? You would have to send me too.
Yes, that's right. Micah is also an unsent. How? I don't know. I mean, shouldn't Micah be a fiend by now? What was his reason for staying attached to Sphera? What? He had like a long-lost lover. He liked the food at the local curry bar. His dog Sugar Tits was his best friend and he didn't want to leave him. I'm lost. I'm just really lost at this point. Are all the Maesters unsent? I mean, Kino and Kelk don't seem to be. How long has Micah been unsent? What if he stands too close to a sending ritual? Does he fade a bit? There's so many questions. Jesus Christ, Square, stop breaking the rules of your story just to get a goddamn plot twist out of it. I get the idea of having the world of Sphera, a place overruled and shadowed by death, be ruled over by the dead, but the way they set this up is so... It's wrong. I can't even describe it, but it's wrong. So after all these revelations, we get thrown in jail, though I feel sorry that Orin had to get stuck with Titus in a cell. Rather than executing us like the Maesters should, they decide to be dicks about it by putting half of the party into a flooded sewer and the other half into an unflooded sewer. Seriously, if this is how Yevon punishes the unfaithful, geez, I hate to see what they do to the people they really...
Think they expect us to give up and die down here?
Ugh, well that's a lame way to kill someone.
I can't believe this, but I actually agree with Titus. Though Micah seems to have second thoughts about this whole sentencing because the odds that it's going to work is about 10%. Yuna only has to battle Isaro in an Aeon Pokemon battle, which is pretty easy so long as you have each Aeon at max overdrive by the fight start. The party reaches the surface when Seymour arrives and, oh yeah, he's killed Keenock. I'm not really sure why, but does it matter? Because as long as they don't send the dude, he's probably going to be fine and show up in 5 seconds with a fresh new wardrobe. So now Seymour decides to explain his endgame plan.
So you see, if all life were to end in Spira, all suffering would end. Don't you see? With death on our side, we will save Spira. And for this, I will take from you your strength, Yuna, your life, and become the next Sin. I will destroy Spira. I will save it.
You're totally nuts!
Yuna is not supporting that idea, so Seymour transforms into a weird statue relief to battle the party. Oh, I get it now. When you die in Sphera, you do become a fiend, but it's like a transformation that you can turn on and off. Why didn't anybody say so? It makes total sense now. So I kick Seymour's ass again, but for whatever reason, Yuna doesn't send him. We just run away. The party makes their escape into the forest, and Yuna starts debating about what the hell she should do now. She knows that Yevon's been lying to her the entire time, and is starting to feel like killing Sin wouldn't even be worth it at this point. Titus goes to talk to her, and this might be the one scene that I can really stand to see Titus in. He apologizes for his behavior the whole game towards Yuna, realizing how accidentally insensitive some of his remarks were. He also tries to convince Yuna that she shouldn't have to die fighting Sin, and that she should just stop the pilgrimage. Though I partially believe that Titus wants that, since he's got more of a chance of getting into Yuna's dress if she quits than if she continues. Yuna seems to be agreeing with him, but she realizes that if she doesn't continue, others are going to die because of Sin. And it's a scene like this that makes me really wish that, again, Yuna had been the main character instead of Titus, since her character actually develops as the story goes on. You see, Yuna started off as a true believer in Yevon, believing that the sacrifices of her father and all the other summoners before her were done to keep the people of Spira safe, to give them hope. And now all of her beliefs have been shattered, learning that Yevon is ruled over by the dead and the damned, and that they betray their own teachings and use Machina, and they believe that the cycle of death is key to keeping Spira even alive. In this moment, Yuna makes a choice to continue on the pilgrimage, not in the name of Yevon and its teachings, but in the hopes that the final summoning can be avoided and a permanent way can be found to defeat Sin. What was Titus's character arc again? Realizing that Yuna's gonna have to face Sin, Titus takes his chance and decides that now is the best moment to make his move. And thank God they can breathe underwater indefinitely again, or this would have been the world's shortest romance. I generally like this scene, though I'm just slightly puzzled as to this day as to why the song wasn't translated into English. I mean, the last two Final Fantasy games had both Japanese and English song translations, so what happened here? Also, you might be waiting for me to make a joke, but I don't have to because the game makes one for me. Right after the whole scene, we get this reaction shot from Kimahri. Oh yeah, Kimahri just watched that whole thing from the shore. Jeez, have Ronso's ever heard of Personal Space? So now that we've been branded traitors of Yevon, how will the party reach Zanarkand? Will Seymour return to trouble us? What other plot-breaking inconsistencies will happen? We'll find out next time when Revisiting Final Fantasy X continues. Thanks for watching.